I drove 9 hours to surprise my family for Easter, my first visit in 3 years since moving abroad for work. When I walked in, my sister looked shocked and said, "Oh, we didn't think you'd actually come." There was no extra chair at the table. I ate on a stool near the sink. When I offered the gifts I'd picked up from Europe, my brother said, "You think buying us stuff makes up for being gone?" That night, I slept in my old room, now a storage closet. When I was a kid, Easter was a big deal in our house. Mom would decorate the whole place. Plastic eggs, bright yellow napkins, big baskets of candy. Even after Dad walked out, she kept it up. I guess it made her feel normal. I didn't realize until this Easter how much had changed. The whole drive from New York back home, I thought about how happy they'd be to see me. I imagined Mom crying, Derek punching me in the arm like we were kids again, Laura laughing like she used to. Instead, when I walked through that door, it felt like walking into someone else's house. Laura was the first one who saw me. She froze, like I was some ghost she didn't want to believe was real. "Oh, we didn't think you'd actually come," she said. It stung. Way more than I thought it would. The air got thick. Derek gave me this look like I was something stuck to his shoe. Mom just kept flitting around the kitchen, pretending nothing was wrong. There were 7 people at the table. Mom, Laura, her husband Todd, their 2 kids, Derek, and Derek's girlfriend, Ashley. No chair for me. No plate. Not even a damn napkin. Mom kept chirping about how she could pull up a stool, like that would fix everything. I ended up sitting near the sink, trying not to make eye contact with anybody. Dinner was torture. They talked about stuff I didn't know, neighborhood gossip, people I'd never heard of. When I tried to chime in, the conversation would dry up. It got worse when I gave them the gifts. I thought maybe they'd see how much I cared. Instead, Derek leaned back in his chair, crossed his arms, and said, "You think buying us stuff makes up for being gone?" Nobody defended me. Not even Mom. My chest felt hollow. I smiled through it, pretended it didn't bother me. I even laughed. But inside, I was dying. After dinner, everyone drifted off. No one asked me to join them in the living room. No one offered me a drink or asked about my life. I carried my suitcase upstairs, hoping at least my old room would be a safe place. It wasn't. The bed was gone. Just a twin mattress on the floor, half covered in junk. Boxes labeled Christmas decorations and Todd's tools stacked to the ceiling. I sat there for a long time, staring at the cracked ceiling, feeling like I was 13 again, right after Dad left, wondering what I did wrong. Around 3 a.m., I decided I was done. I dragged my suitcase down the stairs as quietly as I could. I got in my rental car and drove until the sun came up. I didn't cry. I was too angry for that. Sitting in a dusty motel room, staring at the cheap floral bedspread, I made a decision. If they didn't want me, they wouldn't have me. Not at Easter. Not ever again. But I wasn't just going to disappear. I was going to make sure they noticed. The next morning, after a few hours of broken sleep, I grabbed my laptop. I had an idea. A cold, sharp idea. See, while I was living abroad, I wasn't just sightseeing and eating pasta. I'd made some smart investments. I had some serious money now, more than they knew. And when I left 3 years ago, Mom wasn't doing great financially. She had begged me to help with the mortgage if I could. I did. I had been quietly paying part of her house note every month since moving to Italy. $600 a month. For 3 years. They didn't know because I told Mom to keep it quiet. I didn't want Derek and Laura to feel weird about it. Now, sitting in that sticky motel chair, it hit me. I wasn't a guest in that house. I was part owner. Not officially, not on paper. But I had been keeping it afloat. Without my money, it was on the verge of foreclosure. And I knew exactly how to pull the rug out from under them. First, I logged into my online banking account. I canceled the automatic payments. Next, I called Mom. She didn't pick up. I left a message, "Hey Mom. Just so you know, I'm done paying for the house. Take care. No anger. No cursing. Just a simple goodbye. By the time they realized what was happening, it would be too late. The house would slip into late payments fast. I knew the bank's timeline. But that wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel it, to remember how it felt to be abandoned. So I made one more call. This time to a real estate agent back in Dayton, a woman I'd met years ago when Mom almost sold the house the first time. I asked her if she knew any cash buyers looking for cheap fixer-uppers. She did. I gave her the address. Told her to keep it low-key, but make an offer once the house went into pre-foreclosure. There were loopholes, ways to swoop in fast, buy it at a fraction of market value if the owner panicked. I knew Mom. She would panic. Especially when she realized Laura and Derek sure as hell weren't going to bail her out. They barely managed their own bills. I was giving them exactly what they gave me. A feeling of sitting in a room that was once yours, now full of boxes. A place where no one wanted you. A future you thought you had, suddenly gone. I didn't expect it to happen fast. These things took time. But that was fine. Revenge this good was worth waiting for. About 2 weeks after Easter, I got a text from Mom. Please call me when you can. It's urgent. I didn't respond. I knew what it was about. Another week went by. Then Laura texted. Nice job, a-hole. Hope you're happy. Still didn't respond. Then Derek called. Left a voicemail so full of cussing I had to laugh. In the meantime, the real estate agent texted me. She said the house had been listed for pre-foreclosure in the public record. She had 2 interested buyers already. Mom would be getting calls from strangers offering to buy the house for cash. Lowball offers. Insulting offers. It would crush her. I didn't want Mom to end up on the street. I wasn't that cold. But I didn't want her living there with them anymore either. So I told the agent, if she sells for under $100,000, I'll buy it through a shell company. Make it clean. Anonymous. The house was worth $180,000 easily. But under the pressure? Under the fear of losing it? She'd probably let it go for less. The agent agreed. I wasn't just taking their home. I was taking the symbol of our family. The place where they decided I didn't belong anymore. But then, something unexpected happened. Laura posted on Facebook a long, angry rant about family who abandons you and then tries to ruin your life. She didn't name me, but everyone knew. Friends started texting me. Cousins. Even a couple of old high school friends. Some were on my side. Some weren't. One message hit me harder than the others. It was from my Aunt Teresa, Dad's sister. We hadn't talked in years. Her message was short. You're not wrong. They never deserved you. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. Dad would have been too. I hadn't cried through any of this. But reading that, I broke down. Sitting alone in that motel room, surrounded by fast food wrappers and dirty laundry, I finally let it all out. Years of trying to earn love. Years of trying to be good enough. I realized I wasn't taking revenge because I hated them. I was doing it because I finally loved myself enough to stop begging for scraps. About a month later, I got another call. This time, Mom left a voicemail in tears. Please, just talk to me. We're losing the house. Your sister and Derek, they said they can't help. I don't know what to do. Please, just talk to me. I sat there, phone in my hand, feeling cold. I hated hearing her cry. I loved her. I really did. But she had stood there Easter Sunday and watched them treat me like a stranger. She'd smiled through it. She chose her comfort over me. The agent texted me a few days after that. The house was officially on the market cheap. Panicked sale. Just like I figured. The buyer? Me. Under a company name I created just for this. 2 weeks after that, it was done. Signed, sealed, recorded. The house still needed to be physically vacated. I was patient. I waited for the day the official notice would go up. In the meantime, Laura kept posting online. More angry rants. Derek joined in too, making snide comments about selfish people and fake families. Their friends piled on, feeling sorry for them. None of them knew the truth. That I'd been paying for that roof over their heads for 3 years. It didn't matter anymore. I wasn't explaining myself to people who wanted a villain. But here's where it twisted even harder. Mom called again, and this time, I answered. She was crying so hard she could barely talk. We have 30 days. Where are we gonna go? Derek and Laura can't take me in. They said they don't have room. I'm too old to rent. That's when it hit me. Laura and Derek didn't just want the house, they needed it. Both of them were half broke. Mom was the glue that held their little world together. Her house was free childcare, free food, free storage, free everything. Without it, they were screwed. And now? I owned it. The same kitchen they laughed at me in. The same front porch they sat on without offering me a chair. The same upstairs room they turned into a junk closet. It was mine. And I wasn't going to let them stay. The notice went up 2 days later. Property sold. Vacate premises in 30 days. Todd, Laura's husband, actually tried to threaten the guy who posted it, some poor hired property manager. Todd screamed at him in the driveway while the neighbors peeked through their windows. Todd even threatened to lawyer up. Good luck with that. Everything was legal. Signed and recorded. Mom called me again that night, begging, asking if there was anything we could work out. I told her, flat, calm, you can stay. Alone. For 1 year. Cheap rent. But Derek and Laura are out. There was silence. Heavy, awful silence. She said, voice shaking, I can't kick my own kids out. I said, you didn't have a problem kicking me out. You just didn't have the guts to say it. And then I hung up. The next week was chaos. Laura tried to smear me publicly again, but it backfired. Too many cracks started showing. People started asking real questions. Someone leaked that Mom had been getting help with the mortgage for years. The lie unraveled. Friends and neighbors realized the deadbeat son they trashed was the only reason Mom hadn't been homeless years ago. A couple of cousins even messaged me privately to apologize. The real shocker came when Derek's girlfriend Ashley left him. Apparently, after the news broke, she realized Derek was broke, angry, and entitled, and she wasn't signing up for that mess long term. One little revenge act, and their whole world started crumbling. Meanwhile, I started remodeling the house. Not for me. I wasn't moving back. I didn't even want the place anymore. But if I was going to own it, I wanted it redone my way. Tear out the old kitchen. Rip up the carpet. Paint everything bright and clean. I hired contractors. I gave them strict orders. If any member of the former tenants, Laura, Derek, Todd, came by, call the police for trespassing. They tried a few times. Laura showed up and screamed at the workers. Todd tried to block the driveway. Each time, the cops came and shooed them away. I kept getting texts and calls. Nasty ones. But I didn't answer. I was done explaining myself. About 3 weeks after the notice went up, they were officially out. Laura moved her family into some beat-up rental across town. Derek couch-surfed for a while between friends' places. Mom, she went to live with some distant cousin temporarily. The house sat empty for about a month while the contractors finished. New floors. Fresh paint. New windows. New kitchen. It didn't even feel like the same house anymore. One day, when I was checking on the work, I stood in what used to be the dining room, the same place where I ate on a damn stool near the sink, and looked around. Clean. Bright. Mine. No ghosts left. No memories I didn't want. That's when Laura showed up. She didn't knock. She just stormed up the driveway, dragging her kids behind her. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me, blocking her view inside. She looked terrible. Hair a mess, face blotchy like she hadn't slept. You think you won, huh? She spat. You ruined Mom's life. You ruined all of us. I stayed calm. I didn't ruin anything, I said. I just stopped cleaning up your messes. She started crying loud, ugly sobs. Her oldest kid, a girl about 9, just stared at me with these huge, confused eyes. I felt bad for the kid. None of this was her fault. But I didn't feel bad for Laura. Not even a little. You abandoned us, she shrieked. You went off to live your fancy life and forgot about your real family. That's when I lost it. I stepped forward, real close, and said, low and hard, I called. I emailed. I paid the damn mortgage. I showed up. And when I walked through that door on Easter, you treated me like a stray dog. So don't stand here and talk about family. She looked like she wanted to hit me, but she didn't. She just broke down completely, kneeling on the concrete like her legs gave out. Her kids started crying too. It was a whole scene. Neighbors peeked out through their blinds. Some even stepped onto their porches. I didn't stay to watch. I locked the door, got in my car, and drove away. I didn't even look back. A few months later, the house sold. I made a decent profit off it, more than enough to cover the cost of the revenge. Mom called one last time before the final sale closed. She asked if I would come visit her new place, an old, cramped apartment on the bad side of town. She sounded tired, defeated. Part of me wanted to. I missed her, deep down. But I said no. I'm happy you're safe. But I'm not coming back. There was a long pause. Then she said, I guess I deserve that. I didn't answer. I just hung up. Last I heard, Derek was working at some tire shop, living in a crummy rented room behind a gas station. Laura bounced between low-paying jobs and food banks. Todd left her 6 months later, couldn't handle being poor again. Mom's still hanging on barely. She and I email, sometimes polite, distant. I never went back to that town. Never spent another Easter with them. Some people say revenge doesn't make you feel better. I don't know if that's true. But standing in that bright, clean house, knowing they had to drive by it sometimes, knowing they had to see what they lost, it felt damn good. Not because I hurt them, but because, for the first time in my life, I chose me.